Hopefully you fasten your seatbelts for the next 2 hours.
Right.
That's nonsense, Clint. I'm not buying it. I'm sorry.
I don't care what you buy.
That's nonsense.
My feeling.
You're not just buying a racetrack. You're buying a piece of American racing history right there. I mean, that's huge. The history behind the track, just mind-boggling.
You hear a lot of rumors in the rumor mill. I'll just keep tuning in to you guys to hear the truth when it comes down to it. So
don't do that. I've already had one dose of tin hat syndrome today. I don't need a second one.
Stuart Friesen said to Brett, he says, "Why don't you bring us to more places like this?" And Brett goes, "There isn't any other place like this."
Race fans, it's time to throw it up on the cushion and get dirty. Coming to you live from the Finger Lakes and Southern Tier, it's time for Turn 5 Live. Now, your hosts of Turn 5 Live, Steve Ovens, Clint Miller, and Brad Ovens.
Welcome aboard, race fans. Welcome to this week's episode of Turn 5 Live here on the Performance Motorsports Network. Stephen and Brad Ovens, Clint Miller joining you on the program. Everybody in the house tonight. Clint Miller, what a weekend. We had to wait until Sunday to see it, but the Dutch Hoag Memorial, it was a long day, but it did not disappoint.
No, it didn't. The racing was great, and like you said, it was 12 plus hours at the track for a lot of people, and but for the most part, the day went off without a hitch. It turned out to be a really good day, nice day out, better than the 3 or 4 previous days before that, which had everybody nervous. But all in all, I don't think it could have gone much better.
Couldn't agree with you more on that one. We're going to talk about all the results, and we're going to talk. We're going to hear from all within the first hour. You're going to hear from the top 3 finishers in the Dutch Hoag Memorial for the modifieds. You'll hear from the top 3 in the 360 sprint cars, and you'll also hear from the top 3 finishers in the 2016 Empire 100, which was won by Kurt Stebbins. And, before we get into some of the results and things of that nature, before we start talking about what we saw this weekend, I want to start out the show by passing along our thoughts to our good friend Gary Montgomery. I'm not sure if Gary will be listening to the archive, but Gary is in a hellacious battle with cancer, and if by chance he or family or anybody out here in the racing community that's listening tonight, do us a big favor and send up a couple of prayers or some positive vibes, whatever it is that you may do with you and your family at home. Keep Gary in your thoughts, and we will do the same here, as he has been a great friend, not only to our show, but just a great friend to each of us in our own personal way. So, and he's certainly contributed a hell of a lot to this sport. So we're thinking about Gary Montgomery tonight, Clint, as we start things off. Before we get into the results, I got a couple of rants I thought we'd start the night off with.
Sure, we like rants.
And I'm going to bring you and Brad in for the second rant, but I'm going to start with my rant first here. I'm going to be a little selfish and give myself the pole position here tonight. I want to start off tonight with a little bit of a rant, and the rant is to all the folks who've been screaming and crying, we got to have the pure stocks. We got to bring the pure stocks back. These racetracks got to bring the pure stocks back. Woodhull Raceway, Outlaw Speedway, they got to bring back the grassroots. You got to bring back the pure stocks. Well, guess what, folks? Tyler Seary give anybody that wanted to come out and race at the Dutch Hoag Memorial this weekend an opportunity for the grassroots ranks of racing, the pure stocks or factory stocks, whatever you may call them. He gave them a hell of an opportunity to come out and race this weekend, $500 to win. And for pure stocks, that's pretty darn good money. And 5 cars showed up.
Yeah.
I could count on one hand how many cars showed up to race with the pure stocks this weekend.
To be honest, one of the cars, I believe, wouldn't even classify him as a pure stock because he had racing tires on. It turns out that he didn't get to race the feature because he was involved in an accident during one of the one of the actual Empire 100 qualifying efforts, whether it be the Consi or the Heat, and wasn't able to run the pure stock feature. But even so, yeah, like you said, that was a big opportunity. Maybe moving the race from Saturday to Sunday did influence a few guys, but did it influence 20 guys? No.
Well, and that's, as a person who, tries to keep up as much as you can on some of the good information that you can get on social media. I know there's not a lot of there's not entirely a lot of trustworthy information on social media, but there's one particular group on Facebook that, has a lot of racers that really talk a lot of good things about this division, talk about getting tracks and rules on the same page, and we're all for that as well. But I got to tell you, for all the talk about wanting to have a race for this division, they did not pull through this weekend. And I've heard every excuse from here to the sun on why this one couldn't come or that one couldn't come. And you know what? There was no races up against this show. 5 Mile Point moved their event from Sunday that was supposed to be held this Sunday. They moved it back to the following week. So I don't want to hear the excuses of, well, we've already paid in to race at 5 Mile Point. Well, guess what? You got 7 days to get your stuff ready for 5 Mile Point. And all you've been doing all season long is hollering about how the factory stocks, the pure stocks, we got to get them back, and we got to get some tracks to support these guys. We got to get promoters to support this division. Well, guess what? A promoter give you a hell of an opportunity this weekend, and you didn't come through. And that same promoter came on this very show last week and said, if we get a good turnout of these guys, I'd even entertain adding them as a full-time class next year. And is that not what one of the things that a lot of the more vocal drivers of this division have been calling for? Well, you didn't show up on Sunday, and I can tell you this: 5 cars, and actually, you can count on one hand how many cars showed up. Unfortunately, only 4 cars got to start the feature because one had damage that couldn't be repaired. And so I'm telling you, 4 cars, that was not a great showing. And so that's my rant to start the night, is for all the talk and all of the cry for pure stock, factory stocks, you got to have them. Well, I'll tell you, man, it's going to be awfully hard to add them when you got 5 cars that show up for a fall big money show paying $500 to win.
Well, nothing for nothing. And I love the optimism that Tyler has, but without some changes there, they don't have room or time or space to add another class.
I agree with that, Clint. I'm fully on board with that. And I think that if he was to entertain that idea, there would definitely have to be some shuffling, and there would definitely be some classes that wouldn't be returning to make that happen. But again, I think that's a moot point at this point.
Agreed.
Because
Agreed.
5 cars and 4 starting the feature, that's just not going to cut it. But our second rant of the night, taking the outside pole position, and Brad and Clint, I'm going to bring you both in on this. Street stock rules. Drop mic.
Well, it's always been outlaw. I'm trying to think of the right way to say this, but it's always been Outlaw Speedway changed their street stock rules to be the rules that everybody was supposed to use for Roll 100. I don't ever remember anywhere saying home track rules apply.
That's the biggest thing that I've been confused about since the races concluded on Sunday night. All season long, anytime there's been a special show at Outlaw Speedway, anytime there's been tracks that have canceled in the area and guys wanted to travel out and try to take on the weekly $500 to win, it's always been, look, the rules package that we race weekly is the Empire 100 rules package. Anybody that's got a street stock pretty much in New York State and come out and race and not have to worry about, is my car going to be legal?
Yeah, and
I have no idea, Clint, where all this confusion has started. It blows my mind.
Some of it, I think, started with the Fight Night series that Nick Stark had. I think he was big on the home track rules thing. Bring your rules, and you can run. But the Empire 100 has never been that way. Walt Allen, people bitch about him, people don't, whatever. But he was part of the whole thing of making these rules for the Empire 100. And since he's done that, and I think you were involved, and there was and Dan Harpel, then last year was Mike Jackson. It's been those rules. That's what it is.
Yeah, and so, I honestly, I can't believe how much that whole discussion about street stock rules has blown up, because it just, I mean, the whole concept of the rules package behind this race was to make it simple. And trying to follow along with the rules discussion that's been taking place on social media for the last 2 days, I feel like the guy in the AT&T commercial. I am absolutely mind blown. You try to make something simple, and somehow we find a way to muddy the waters. I don't understand it. But anyway, we'll get into more of that later. We're going to step aside here. When we come back, we will go through the results, and we'll start hearing from the top three in the three big divisions from Sunday. We'll get to the results of the rest of the classes as well. You're listening to Turn 5 Live on the Performance Motorsports Network, the voice of motorsports.
Max Dairy Bar is a proud supporter of Turn 5 Live and the Performance Motorsports Network. Opened in 1974, Max Dairy Bar has been a Penn Cayuga Lake, and Yates County staple, serving the best Hershey's hard ice cream. They also have soft serve ice cream, their weekly yogurt special, sorbet flavors, gluten-free options, frozen Greek yogurt, and non-dairy lemon ice. Don't forget about their tricky 18-hole putt-putt course that will test your skill to see if you have what it takes to be a champion. Max Dairy Bar and Mini Golf, located on State Route 14A, just south of the village of Penn Yan, right on the way to Black Rock Speedway on Friday nights. Visit them online at www.maxdairybar.com or Max Dairy Bar on Facebook and Twitter. Stop by Max Dairy Bar and tell them Turn 5 Live sent you. Creekside Entertainment is the official DJ, photo booth, and uplighting company of Turn 5 Live and the Performance Motorsports Network. Stuart Ovens and his staff at Creekside Entertainment are professional and experienced with events of any type. Creekside Entertainment specializes in wedding packages that are affordable and fun, and they are ready to serve you with the most up-to-date music and karaoke selection. If you can sing it in the shower, you can come out and sing it with Creekside Entertainment. And don't forget about the Creekside Entertainment photo booth and uplighting service that will transform your wedding or party into an event the family will be talking about for years. Trust the entertainment company that racers trust. Call Stu at area code 315-481-9700 or visit them online at creeksideentertainmentdj.com. You can also find them on Facebook and Twitter. Creekside Entertainment, division sponsor of the Black Rock Bandits in 2015.
We're growing like crazy and need account reps who know their way around agencies, the internet, and social media. Got connections? Or do you know how to get to the decision makers? Are you fearless? We need you. Internet radio, or as we call it, wireless mobile radio, is rapidly becoming the place to be with almost limitless income potential. So contact us to get involved with the fastest growing professionally produced group of internet radio stations in the world. Your imagination is the only limit here. Call 717-749-0444. That's 717-749-0444. Or you can email us at scorpionradiogroup@gmail.com. You want to ask for Sue.
Hi, race fans. This is Dan Harpel from Penn Can Speedway, and you're listening to Turn 5 Live on PMN.
Welcome back, race fans, to Turn 5 Live here on the Performance Motorsports Network. Stephen and Brad Ovens, Clint Miller joining you on the program tonight. We are talking Dutch Hoag Memorial from this past Sunday night at the Outlaw Speedway, of course, and we will get right into The results from the weekend, as it was an impressive field of 206 cars filling the pit area on Sunday night, and Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon, and Sunday night, I should say. And picking up the win, 70 lapper, 36 modifieds in attendance, $7,000 to win. Eric Rudolph. We're going to start calling him Mr. October now. After a disappointing week and weekend at Super Dirt Week at Oswego and having to give up the Short Track Super Series title, Rudolph pulled off a huge win coming off of a sweep at Brockville the week before. Rudolph got the win, and I'll tell you, it's a good thing the race wasn't 71 or 72 laps, Clint, because Alan Johnson was coming. He caught a 2.7-second lead with roughly 6 laps to go, and he cut it all the way down to the bumper coming to the line for the checkered flag. AJ Slideways comes in second. Steve Payne, what a bummer for Payne. He had a fast car, lost the rear end during the dash for cash. They got the rear end changed, got him out there for the feature, and as we'll hear, probably just guessed wrong on tire. Had a fast car early, but it faded late, and Payne saw his opportunity at nearly $20,000 in the Sunoco Modified Challenge go out the window as Payne would finish third. Corey Costa was fourth, and Bobby Varon, coming out from the Capital District, finished in the top 5. 6 through 10 was Tyler Seary, who also had an opportunity at nearly $20,000. He finished in the 6th spot. Ray Bliss was 7th. Billy Van Pelt, driving the Batmobile, was 8th. Then it was Pat Ward and Stacy Jackson rounding out the top 10. We got to hear from the top 3 finishers on Sunday night, and we'll start it off with Eric Rudolph. Then you'll hear from Alan Johnson, and finally Steve Payne. Well, we're calling him Mr. October up in the booth. Give it up for Eric Rudolph, the winner of the Dutch Hoag Memorial. Bring him around to the front here, getting congratulations all around. Well, man, what do you think, Mr. October? That could be a new nickname.
Yeah, I don't know. We're having our fair share of luck here in October. Cars are running good. Feel like I'm, doing the right things out there and making the right decisions in the pit area. But wouldn't be nothing without my team, my hardworking team here, and really proud of my guys here.
You guys picked up a win earlier this season during the regular season. Did any of those notes from that night help out tonight or running with the Short Track Super Series?
Yeah, I had those open from earlier this year. Very similar car, what we have here today, different frame and whatnot, but I think we'll start coming here with this hot setup here.
I would say so for sure. Talk to us about the folks here that have helped you out, get you to victory lane here in the Dutch Hoag Memorial.
I can't thank Randy Chrysler enough for letting me pilot this jalopy here, and then all the crew that comes with us. They wouldn't want to be anywhere else but here, and to get him a win is awesome.
What's it mean to get a win in the Dutch Hoag Memorial? He was so well known here in the Northeast.
Yeah, Dutch Hoag was a good friend of my grandfather's, and very respected in the sport, and to win on the Memorial Night is something special.
Congratulations.
All right, thank you.
Folks, give it up for Eric Rudolph, tonight's winner. We'll come down here and hear from Alan Johnson. And Alan, less than 10 laps to go, you cut the lead from 2.5 seconds right to the back bumper. Tell us about it.
Oh yeah, there's no doubt I had a great car. It's just, passing was kind of tough, and just dug myself in a hole in the heat race, and started a little too far back.
You started working your way up through there, and you and Corey Costa had a great battle there for third. And did that slow the progress trying to get through the field?
Oh, no doubt. I had him once, and then we had a yellow, and he got back around me, and he held me up for a little bit, but hey, it's all part of it.
Good season for you guys here, second in the points and second here in the Dutch Hoag Memorial. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
Folks, give it up for Alan Johnson coming home in second here tonight. And now we'll hear from Steve Payne, 2016 track champion. And Steve, running second for a while there, and I know trying to claw your way up through, trying to get that Sunoco bonus, but just 2 spots short tonight.
Yeah, I mean, Eric was really good. He was good here the last time he was here, and we just missed it a little bit on tires and maybe set up a little bit, but we spent the night changing rear end and stuff, and we're lucky to even finish. So
I was going to say, you guys have had a long night tonight trying to get that rear end out of the car and switched. On a night like tonight when we got so many classes, that extra time had to help you guys out a ton.
Yeah, on a normal Friday we wouldn't have time to change it, but seeing we had so long, we got a spare in it, and it was as good as we could make it. I just think I picked wrong on tires, but everybody worked real hard and got the rear end changed, and everything held together for 70 laps. And I was good at the end. He made up a straightaway on the leader, and I thought maybe he was going to get him, but we couldn't run with him.
Well, third tonight, and earlier this season, 9th track championship. We'll see you down at the Harbor in January.
Yep, thank you.
Folks, give it up for Steve Payne. Finishes third tonight here in the Dutch Hoag Memorial. We'll send it back up to the booth to Paul and Mel. So you heard it there at the end. Steve Payne going to be crowned track champion, and that was just announced here last week after we had been on the program here on Turn 5. The 2016 season awards banquet will be held at the Watkins Glen Harbor Hotel, right on the bottom tip of Seneca Lake, and we will crown all the champions there. It's going to be Saturday, January 28th, 2017. So you can ring in the new year, and then 4 weeks later we'll be partying it up at the Harbor as all of the 2016 champions will be crowned there. A couple of thoughts here on the modifieds before we move on. Brad, I'll turn to you first. I know you were getting a first-hand look at all the repairs and all the work Payne's crew did just to get him out for the 70-lap feature. It was really phenomenal to see the work they did.
Yeah, and I think the coolest thing to see about that was, it wasn't just his crew guys. Steve was up under the car, almost more than any of the other guys were, wrenching on it, taking the bolts out, disconnecting arms, disconnecting linkages. He's as much of his team working on the car as any of the other crew guys are. So that was really cool to see, and to see him get out there, and he got his one hot lap to make sure the car was going to hold together. And I was kind of holding my breath the whole race, just hoping that car would stay together for him, and luckily enough it did, and just shows what kind of caliber team they've got there.
I think, Brad, one of the big topics of discussion with this race was the fact that it was open tire. I mean, we saw Bobby Varon finish top 5 with Hoosiers, and you heard Steve say, and Clint, I'll bring you in here in just a second, because we don't often hear Steve Payne say that he chose wrong on tire. You just don't hear that from him at Outlaw Speedway. But Brad, what was the thrashing and the discussion in the pit area about tire choice on Sunday night?
I didn't really hear a lot from Steve and his crew. Obviously, primarily, if they couldn't get that rear end changed, it wasn't gonna make a world of difference. But there was a lot of discussion, whether it be street stock guys, sprint car guys, modified guys. I think a lot of guys expected the track to end up the way it did, but I think they were expecting the track to be a little harsher on the tires than it actually was. It was kind of surprising to see how little tire wear there actually was from the track.
And Clint, we're going to talk about this more with the street stocks here in a couple of segments, but I'll be honest with you, I'm right up there with one of the guys that, for as hard and slick as that track was, I was a little taken back at we've seen that track be real harsh on tires the last couple of years, and a lot of guys, it seemed like it maybe wasn't so much that way Sunday night.
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with the amount of clay that Tyler did put down over the course of the last couple months. It took some of the grittiness away. I was talking to a guy before the race to start who actually took an 8-inch screwdriver and stuck it all the way down to the handle, before it hit anything solid. So there was plenty of moisture there. There was plenty of clay there. Tires did come into play, not near as much as before, and we'll get we'll talk about this more with the street stocks. But I definitely think when it came time to the modified feature, if I had to guess, I would say that Payne probably went with, I would say a medium to hard tire. You know, they have a whole different lot of compounds to go with, and maybe like Allen went with a hard tire, and that's why he was so quick at the end. I don't know. Without seeing them, those guys are so secretive with some of the stuff that they pick out. You may not get to see it anyway.
And Clint, late in that race with the modifieds, I mean, that was, really one of the keys to the race. And this guy didn't finish in the top 3 was Corey Costa, because Alan Johnson spent a lot of time trying to get by Corey. Corey's 02 car was fast on Sunday, and it took Alan that much longer to get around Costa to finally break into the top 3 and then go to work on Payne. I mean, when he got to Payne, he made, relatively quick work. I mean, he looked high and low, and then finally was able to get by him on the high side, and then used the low line to reel in Rudolph. And like we said, you always have those scenarios. Boy, if we'd had a couple more laps, well, I'll tell you, that was definitely one of those scenarios on Sunday with Allen.
Well, you know what, Steve, what have we said all along? When the track gets slicker, Allen gets quicker.
Oh, yeah.
And by the time probably the last 20 laps of that modified feature, there was nothing left of that track. There was just, you guys were just skating around looking for anything that they could find, and Allen's car was just starting to come to life. He didn't hurry his way to the top. Those guys that ran up front early, they ran hard and could have used their tires up a little more than maybe what Allen was, just kind of biding his time. And I think that's why it took him so long to get around Costa, is because he was just taking his time. He didn't want to do anything stupid. And who knows, Costa could have been trying all sorts of different lines, and maybe Allen couldn't get a good read on where to go, to make that pass quicker.
Well, final thought here before we step aside. Something that I think Allen's team can look at for improvement in 2017 is heat races, because when they struggle in the heats, they generally got to start further towards the back, and that was something that Allen alluded to in Victory Lane. Was he just got himself in a bad spot in the heat race, and he had to come from further back in the field than he would have liked to, and you saw how lightning quick the car was at the end of the race. Boy, if they had started a little closer to the front, who knows what would have happened. But something I'm sure they're going to look at going into next season. So let's step aside here. When we come back, we'll talk 360 sprint cars, because once again, we had a thriller on Sunday night at the Dutch Hoag Memorial. You're listening to Turn 5 Live on the Performance Motorsports Network, the voice of motorsports.
Do you love the sound of high revving motors and the smell of burning rubber? Do you want to get your car sideways right at the ragged edge of control? If you've always wanted to try drifting or learn to improve your drifting skills, Summit Point Motorsports Park, the Mid-Atlantic's premier motorsports facility, has the expert instructors and the specialized track to teach you how to drift and the skills necessary to drift competitively. From skid pad to open sessions, Summit Point Motorsports Park has the safe and open environment that allows drifters of all skill levels, new to intermediate, to get sideways and smoking. With a focus on safety and the skill set necessary to drift competitively, Summit Point Motorsports Park's Drift Nirvana is just the thing for you. Call for your reservation today, 304-725-8444. Or for more information, go online, summitpoint-raceway.com, or you can email them at office@bsrinc.com. Drift Nirvana, getting you sideways the right way.
A boy born in Joplin, Missouri was fascinated by anything with wheels and a motor. The odds of him going on to fascinate millions with his talent? 1 in 260,000. The odds of this born racer having 157 career top 10 finishes in NASCAR? 1 in 125 billion. But every driver seeks the pinnacle of their achievements. The odds of him winning both the Daytona 500 and the Brickyard 400 in the same year? 1 in 195 million. The odds of a child being diagnosed with autism? 1 in 68. I'm NASCAR driver Jamie McMurray, and my niece has autism. Learn more at autismspeaks.org/signs. Early diagnosis can make a lifetime of difference. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
You're listening to the Performance Motorsports Network, your authority on motorsports of all types. Be listening for the most accurate and up-to-the-minute coverage of every motorsports activity that you enjoy on a daily basis. Be it NASCAR, be it IRL, be it Formula One, be it drag racing, be it dirt track, off-road, props, hulls, whatever. We are your source for motorsports. Performance Motorsports Network.
Hi, race fans. This is Billy Dunn, and you're listening to Turn 5 Live on PMN.
Welcome back, race fans, to Turn 5 Live here on the Performance Motorsports Network. Stephen Ovens, Brad Ovens, Clint Miller on the program with you tonight, talking Dutch Hoag Memorial results and audio from Sunday night as, again, 206 cars in the pit area. 17 of those cars were 360 sprints. And picking up his first winged sprint car feature win of his career was Binghamton, New York's the Iceman, Coleman Gulick, who was featured on Wing Nation earlier today, so some of you podcast listeners. So Coleman Gulick picked up the big win. Lucas Wolf finished in the second spot. Yes, that Lucas Wolf, former World of Outlaws driver, racing a 360 sprint this past weekend in the 5W. Lucas Wolf finished second. Steve Collins finished in the third spot. Matt Billings, former modified star, now racing select sprint car shows with Mike Stelter's 36 team, finished in the fourth spot. Jonathan Preston, former 305 winner at Outlaw Speedway, finished in the top 5. 6 through 10, former Fall Nationals winner George Suprick. Kyle Drum was 7th, Denny Peebles 8th, Eric Carlson 9th, and Ed Kelly rounded out the top 10 finishers in the 360 sprint portion. Why don't we go to Victory Lane, where we heard from Coleman Gulick, Lucas Wolf, and Doc Collins.
He's climbing up out of the car here, folks. How about it for him? Driver of the 14. First Outlaw Speedway win. Give it up for Coleman Gulick. He's going up top. Yes, sir. Stretch out. Yeah, there he goes. We were talking upstairs. I think this might be his first 360 win. We're going to ask him about it. Dean shaking the head yes, so we thought maybe. Driver of the Scorpion Security Products, number 14.
He was a little worried about that, I think.
Telling the crew all about it, getting the safety equipment off and the helmet off down here. How about it, folks? You having fun? Yeah? These kids are having fun down here. And Coleman, come right out here and tell us all about it, man. What a race here tonight. Paul Small told us up in the booth, he said there's a part of Coleman's anatomy that's made out of titanium. Tell us about working through that lap traffic.
You know, it got really frustrating towards the end there because I knew there was going to be lap traffic towards the end. But I don't know, I just did what I do best, you know, is just drive the race car and race the track. And that's what we did, and we brought her home.
First 360 win, how much does this one mean?
You know, I've never won a wing race ever, so that was my first wing dance. I had to do it. But I raced a lot of non-wing sprint cars out in Indiana and stuff like that, but this feels really good. I got to thank a few people. Josh Carpenter, he came out from Ohio. He's been living with me, and, you know, he's the best wrench I've probably ever had, so I got to give it up to him. I got to give it up to my grandpa. He's here every week with us, and you know, I got to thank my mom and dad and all my family back home. Actually, we just found out today that my brother's having a boy, so it's a good win all around.
Man, tell us about that restart, because that restart was crucial for you to get the lead.
Yeah, definitely. I knew it was going to move me up a little bit into one, but I saw a little hole there and I drove it in. And, I mean, the car was absolutely perfect. I couldn't ask for anything more. You know, I barely had to move the wing, so I got to give my hats off to Josh Carpenter.
First wing race win, where does this one rank?
It's up there with any other ones I've won. These guys, this is a tough group to race with. There's 10, 15 guys that can win any night, and I'm just glad to bring her home.
Congratulations, and man, what a run tonight.
All right, thank you, and thank you to the fans coming out.
Give it up for Coleman Gulick, tonight's 360 Sprint feature winner. We're going to make our way down here and talk to Lucas Wolf, who finished in the second spot. And man, great to have you out here at Outlaw Speedway. Thanks for coming out here. What a run. We weren't sure how it was going to go for you early on there, as you had a couple of incidents to avoid, but second place finish tonight.
Yeah, obviously a bit of a recovery from some of the stuff on the start. It was pretty difficult just picking the right spots. Once I got a pretty decent line around the top, I made up good speed, but he was going pretty good, and enough to kind of get to the next lap cars, and I just ran out of time. So still thank everybody involved, RC Feigl, everybody at the Orange Crate Brewing Company, Pass Blue Ribbon, and everybody involved that gave me opportunities to come up here to New York and run some extra races.
Well, congratulations on a second place finish. Great to have you out here tonight.
Thank you.
Folks, Lucas Wolf finishing in the second spot, and Doc Collins comes home in the third spot. Had a great car early on tonight. What did we need to get 2 more spots tonight?
Well, we didn't need that caution. If we could have run that off, I think I might have been okay. The car was going away on me a little at the end. It was... I knew when I pulled out on the track that I didn't tighten it up quite enough. I didn't know. It's hard to say when they're going to work on the track, how much they're going to work it back in, but I was a little bit shy. I was glad it was working so good at the beginning there, and then I was just thinking, man, we can run this off. I got a chance, but never works out like that.
Always great to see you out here at Outlaw Speedway, finishing third. Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks. I'm happy with that finish. A good way this would be my last race of the season, so a good way to finish it off.
Folks, give it up for Doc Collins, finishing in the third spot here tonight, and we're going to grab him up here. We're going to have a top 3 photo, and Paul and Mel will send it back up to you.
So there you have it, the top 3 finishers from the 360 Sprint portion of Dutch Hoag Memorial Weekend, and again, really a thrilling sprint car race, and Clint or Brad, whoever wants to field this one, I mean, the restart for Coleman Gulick told the story of this one, because about halfway through the race, when we had that caution flag, Gulick started on the outside, and I'm not going to say that he jumped the restart, but boy did he time it perfect, Brad. Starting on the outside lane, and when Collins fired, I mean, Gulick was already 2 steps ahead of him, ready to go.
Yeah, that's one of the more interesting things with ESS, having double file restarts up until halfway, I believe it is, or maybe they even do them all the way throughout the race. But it definitely adds another level to it, because I think it gives that guy in second place another advantage to try and get that jump on him like that. And sprint cars it's so crucial. I mean, you could be off 2 turns, 2 turns on a shock, or, you could have, just the wrong, you could have one wrong left rear shock, and, a guy could be that much better than you that he could pull out a straightaway, like that. So, I mean, the sprint cars, the setups are so crucial, and obviously Gulick had it and knew what he had coming to the line, and, sprint cars can be tough on the restarts like that sometimes. If you start to take off and you get off the gas too much, you can start to burp the car and make the car chug a little bit, and all it takes is one little burp and that guy's gone.
And really, from the sprint car perspective, that side of things, really a pretty good run show. I mean, there were some guys that definitely had some bad luck. I feel like guys like Jason Barney, Chuck Hebing, Dave Axton being another one that never got the opportunity to really show what they had. Dave Axton in particular, he had a real fast car on Sunday night, but unfortunately got caught up in really somebody else's mess, and never got an opportunity to show what he had.
No, you're absolutely right, and I got 2 hard luck guys from that race. Jason Barney on the first lap getting turned sideways and collecting Shane Dunneth, who was really fast in his heat race. and Barney had to come to the pits and didn't make it back out for the restart. We lost Chuck Hebing early, which I thought that was pretty bad, because he's always fast at Outlaw Speedway. Lucas Wolf going to the back of the pack twice, and still making it back up for second place. He was rolling the outside in both 1 and 2, but and they got the lap traffic, and Gulick just made the right move, and just he had to go when he did, or else he was going to get passed. And congrats to him on his first 360 win. And Daryl Ruggles, he had a decent run going. I don't know if he clipped an implement tire, and he ended up ending Donuts Day in a wreck in 3 and 4. Which is Daryl usually runs good at Outlaw Speedway, so there was a couple things that played into factor, and just from a good show. It was just a good show.
Yeah, it was. We're going to try and shoehorn some results in here. We'll get right back to bringing Brad in here for some more commentary on the night. But Tommy Collins picked up the Crate Sportsman feature win. He got the win over Carl Comfort, Chris Doherty, Eric Williams, and Dale Welty, the top 5. 6 through 10 was Ben Wheeler. Jimmy Spano. Haven't seen Spano at Outlaw Speedway in a long time. He would finish in the 7th spot. A.J. Lloyd was 8th, Brett Buno 9th, and Rob Humphreys, all the way from Elbridge, rounded out the top 10 finishers. Any other thoughts, Brad? Sprint cars or Crate Sportsman or otherwise?
Just discussing that Ruggles incident, I was kind of shocked. It didn't look to me from the backstretch, the pit exit, that he hit an implement tire, but it just looked like all of a sudden that car just snapped hard right. And of course, Sean Donath was up there on the high side, committed to it already. And, an unfortunate event for those guys, but, it was one of those freaky things that you just looked like the car sat in the corner and all of a sudden it just snapped dead right. And, it's almost, I almost want to say it's lucky for Daryl that Donath was there to stop his momentum, because
possibly
as fast as they were going, he'd have been launching off that turn 3 and 4 bank, and it could have been a lot worse than it was, but unfortunately ended 2 guys' night instead of 1.
And of course, that wasn't the first car that would have launched over 3 and 4, as Cobra had a close call earlier in the night as well. So, guys, that wraps up the 360 sprints and the Crate Sportsman portion of the program. We're going to step aside here. When we come back, we'll focus on the Empire 100. 100-lap street stock race on Sunday night, paid $2,000 to win. We'll talk about the man who made history on Sunday night. Next on Turn 5 Live on the Performance Motorsports Network, the voice of motorsports.
Parents, your son or daughter has had their license for a while now, but you want to make sure they're prepared for any situation they may face on the road. High school driver's ed doesn't teach them to drive defensively. They need to be prepared for any highway emergency. For less than a month's insurance, and a whole lot less, BSR instructors at Summit Point Motorsports Park in nearby Summit Point, West Virginia, will teach your son or daughter how to respond instantly and positively to unexpected situations on the road. BSR's specialized accident avoidance training teaches swerve to avoid maneuvers at highway speed, ocular driving, which focuses driving attention on ways to avoid accidents, vehicle dynamics and feedback, skid control and skid recovery, threshold braking on straights and progressive braking on curves, and off-road recovery techniques. This is stuff driver's ed simply doesn't teach. So call BSR today, 304-725-8444. Give your kid the skill set needed to drive safely and responsibly on the highway. That's 304-725-8444.
So when you get to the corner of Smith and Orchard, you're going to want to take a
You
left.
are not going to
then
believe
what you're
this.
going to do is turn
Marcy
into Marcy
and Brad
Avenue
just broke up,
and go past
and
the
apparently
first 3
she's
lights,
happy
and
about
then take
it.
the next left.
I don't really
Then
think
drive
she's
5 more
happy,
blocks,
but
and you should be
who am
there.
I to judge, right?
Park
anyway,
on the right.
That's
I'll
what
see
I
you
heard
later
last
tonight.
night.
It's hard to concentrate on 2 things at once, like texting and driving. Stop the text, stop the wrecks. How will you stop texting and driving? Tell us at stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Creekside Entertainment is the official DJ, photo booth, and uplighting company of Turn 5 Live on the Performance Motorsports Network. Stuart Ovens and his staff at Creekside Entertainment are professional and experienced with events of any type. Creekside Entertainment specializes in wedding packages that are affordable and fun, and they are ready to serve you with the most up-to-date music and karaoke selection. If you can sing it in the shower, you can come out and sing it with Creekside Entertainment. And don't forget about the Creekside Entertainment photo booth and uplighting service that will transform your wedding or party into an event the family will be talking about for years. Trust the entertainment company that racers trust. Call Stu at area code 315-481-9700 or visit them online at creeksideentertainmentdj.com. You can also find them on Facebook and Twitter. Creekside Entertainment, division sponsor of the Black Rock Bandits in 2015.
Hi race fans, this is the voice, Shane Andrews of the Big Block Modified Super Dirt Car Series, and you're listening to Turn 5 Live on PMN.
The voice, Shane Andrews, bringing us back from commercial here on the voice of motorsports, the Performance Motorsports Network. Stephen Ovens, Brad Ovens, Clint Miller with you tonight on Turn 5 Live. We're here on the Performance Motorsports Network every Tuesday night at 7:30 p.m. And coming up here in the next couple of weeks, we've actually got an announcement about Turn 5 Live that will be cutting loose. So if you listen to us on the archive, or rather you're listening to us sitting around the shop here tonight, stay tuned. We've got some news about the program that you're going to want to be in tune with here, and we'll be coming out with that here in the next couple of weeks. But we'll still be right here on Tuesday nights, but possibly you'll be able to hear us a little bit earlier in the evening. So we'll just we'll let the dramatic effect take on
teaser.
That. So anyway, we're talking results and audio from the Dutch Hoag Memorial this past weekend, and of course one of the big events was the Empire 100 for the street stocks. And Mike Mallett has a thing on social media about how he loves Eastern States. Well, I love the Empire 100. I absolutely love this race. It takes, and I'm not going to go back to my rant at the top of the show, but it takes the grassroots division, Clint, and it puts them center stage for one night. And this is an endurance race, but at the same time, at times it's a sprint race as well. And on top of all of that is a pressure cooker situation at lap 50 where you've got to make some big decisions. And boy, did the winner and the second place car make some big decisions on Sunday night. I was shocked that Kurt Stebbins and Glenn Reitner didn't take tires.
You and probably 24, 25 other guys. I just, and I think, I thought about this for, the last couple of days, and I think it's a testament, again, to what I said earlier, with Tyler getting the extra clay on the track, made the track just that less abrasive. And, Glenn wasn't loose, Kurt wasn't loose, and they were able to manage their tires. Chuck Winslow changed both rear tires at 50 laps. I went over and looked at his after the races were over, and there wasn't much tread left on the ones that he'd run 50 laps on. But he was loose. I watched him a lot of the second half of the race.
Yeah,
he was really loose, and he was fighting a loose car. Dylan Cece burned through 4 or 5 right rear tires. It was all a matter of setup and balance as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, and those two guys, I mean, now here's the thing, Clint, Reitner, who finished second, and Stebbins, who won, I mean, they finished in the top 3 at the Woodhull 100 as well. Do you think that their Woodhull experience and trying to keep that car as straight as they could at Outlaw Sunday night, does the Woodhull experience factor into any of that?
I don't know, Steve. I don't really know how it could, because there's such different racetracks. There's such different grittiness to the track. The clay is different. about the only thing that maybe you could get from Woodhull to Outlaw is patience. Because being a lot smaller of a track, tighter corners, you got to try to be a little more patient in making your passes. Outlaw's a little faster, a little wider. You're able to carry more speed through the corners. And, I think that was shaping up to be a real good finish if Glenn didn't slip up a little too high in 3 and 4.
Yeah, no doubt. John Carpenter led the opening lap in the Empire 100. Glenn Reitner took over on lap 2, led to lap 10. Then you had Chuck Winslow, who asserted himself. He'd been the dominant car at Outlaw Speedway all season long. He led the race from laps 11 to 23. And then from there, Glenn Reitner took back over. He led from laps 24 to 44. But just before the halfway break, Winslow got back by him, and Winslow would lead the last 5 laps that would take us to the lap 50 break. And here's where the big decision came. You only had 4 cars, just like last year. I think last year we might have had 2 or 3 cars, but less than a handful of cars deciding that, you know what, we're going to stay out here. We're not going to change tires at halfway. We're just going to gas it up, maybe change an air pressure, maybe make a small adjustment with a flathead screwdriver, because that's all you can have on the hot pit lane. But it was Glenn Reitner, it was Kurt Stebbins, Brett Marlatt, and Keith Lamphere, as well as Matt Gilson. So 5 cars. That was your top 5 coming back to the green flag. Bob Buno and the 44 of Teddy Morseman, they were the first 2 cars back out onto the track that made a change for tires after the halfway. So from there, it was Glenn Reitner who led the show, and Reitner had an incredible car. A car that started making some big advances through the event was Quinn Sutherland, the 57J.
Definitely.
Right before the lap 72 yellow for he and Adam Depew, Sutherland was the fastest car on the track, and really thought that Quinn had something for those guys at the end. Unfortunately, his run came to an end on lap 72. But then Kurt Stebbins made the pass for the lead for good on lap 87, and he would lead the rest of the way. And it was Kurt Stebbins who made history on Sunday night. He's now the second driver to win 2 Empire 100s in his career. He's also now the first driver to ever win both a Woodhull 100 and an Empire 100. And on top of all that history, he did it in the same year. He swept them both at Woodhull and at Outlaw Speedway. So congrats to Kurt Stebbins. Second win in the Empire 100. Glenn Reitner finished in the 2nd spot. Chuck Winslow was 3rd. Brett Marlatt 4th. C.J. Guerry the top 5. Now, John Carpenter came across the line in 3rd. However, he got nailed in post-race tech for an issue with rockers in the engine. So he would lose his spot, and that bumped Marlatt up to 4th, Winslow up to 3rd, and C.J. Guerry to 5th. Gene Ballmer finished in the 6th spot. Jared Hill had, let's say, an eventful night to finish in the 7th spot. Bob Buno was 8th. Teddy Morseman, also quite an eventful night for him, finishing 9th. And Rich Green, who won a heat race, rounded out the top 10 finishers. There was 47 cars in the pit area, and that was right about what I expected, Clint. Somewhere around 50 is what I was anticipating. So 47, and consider the fact that there's some guys that couldn't come because of the Sunday date.
Yep.
So imagine what that car count would have been on Saturday. That's impressive.
Absolutely. I think if we run Saturday like we're supposed to, I think you're looking at 60 cars.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly.
Getting back to John Carpenter, and here again, this is part of the rules deal. Empire 100 rules, Outlaw Street Stock rules. You can't mismatch your rockers. They're 1.5 or 1.6. You can't use both of them on your and take out whatever. They all have to be 1.6 or 1.5. His weren't. You go to his home track rules, which haven't been updated since 2011 or 12 or whatever, I think I read, and it says you can't use aluminum ones anyway. So he's actually, if you don't look at the update that's somewhere on the website, he's illegal according to those rules too. And I'm not taking anything away from John Carpenter, because he's a heck of a wheelman, and I do believe that if they had known for sure what rules to follow, because like you said, somewhere it got mixed up as to what rules they were following, they would have changed their, the rockers, and a couple other guys did that, and I just think that it was for whatever reason, they just didn't come across as anything that was set in stone. And instead of asking someone, you just rely on people or social media to come out with the, to actually put the rules online instead of going to do the work yourself.
Now, is that something that you feel needs to be in the rules? Is that not a big deal? Is it not an advantage? What's your thought there?
Well, I don't really think it's an advantage. I think I was talking to Carl about it, and the only thing that he said when he ran mismatch rockers like that is the engine may run a little cooler, is what he found out. Now, I don't understand a lot about motors, and without asking somebody else straight up front, I'm not sure. But that's what Carl told me.
Gotcha. Well, why don't we take a listen as Kurt Stebbins, Glenn Reitner, and we did throw in the audio from Carpenter as he was finished third, and he was the first car that changed tires at halfway that finished in the top three. So why don't we hear quick from those top three in Outlaw Victory Lane.
Up out of the car, folks, your winner of the Empire 100. Give it up for Kurt Stebbins. Yeah, don't worry about that roof. We don't need it now. Congratulations, man. What a run. What a run here tonight. The first driver to ever sweep the 100 lappers at Woodhull and Outlaw. Tell us about it.
Yeah, it's been an awesome year for me. I can't ask for nothing more. This is awesome.
How did you hold on there at the end?
Oh, I knew right now I was going to try on the top. I was protecting the bottom. I knew he was going to do what I tried, but just not quite enough. There's a fine line up there.
Now, talk to us about not taking tires at halfway. We were talking about it up in the booth, and you guys, you sounded confident in the hot pit lane about it.
Yeah, the tires looked pretty good. They were way better than last year at this time. The track was a lot moister. I think that came into play today.
Added clay, did that factor into it today maybe too, or track was still slick, so it still was abrasive?
All in all, I was happy with the track today.
All right, man, tell us about this crew here. I mean, what does it mean to win? You've won one of these, now you've got two of them, and three of them if you count Woodhull.
Yeah, I brung the black car again tonight. This one won it last year. It looks like my Woodhull one, but I put the body on it yesterday off my new one, so this is my old one that won it before.
Oh, congratulations, man. Tell us about the folks that help you out.
Yeah, I got to thank everybody, my brother, George, Matt, KB Graphics, KB Speedway, Ed Pekaric, lawyer. Just one more bar down in Wellsville, New York. I won't make it there tonight.
Not going to make it to the bar on a Sunday night, huh?
Probably not.
Team 15.
Congratulations.
Team 15.
Talk to Glenn here for just a second, and Glenn, I'll tell you what, man, what a race for you tonight. Led so many laps tonight and just came up just a little short.
Yeah, I don't run here enough to get this place really figured in, and I wish we could have used some wrenches on pit lane there on the hot pit. We could have tuned this thing in just a little bit better. But all in all, I got to thank all my sponsors and my crew. Everybody works hard. Ron's Engine Science, Smoking Weed Barbecue, Moose Enterprises. Oh man, I don't even know where to begin. Painter's Meat Processing, Joe Wilcox Performance Automatics Transmission in this thing. Without all them, we definitely wouldn't be here. And it was fun. This was awesome. I'm probably going to run over here a little bit more next year.
Did it surprise you the tires lasted as long as it did?
Yeah, I didn't get I didn't run this race last year because I had my boy on Sunday, with all the rain dates, and so this week, the rain dates happened earlier, and so everybody can plan a little bit more. But everybody said they went through a lot of tires last year, and the only thing I had to gauge by was that race I won for the Fall Classic here, and I had little to no tire wear for that. So
congratulations on second place, folks. Glenn Reitner comes home in the second spot. Quick here, John. You pitted for tires at lap 50, and you almost got there here, finishing third.
Yeah, she got a little tight on me those last 11 laps, man. She was a rocket ship them last 50 laps. I mean, just waiting for the tires to come on, biding my time, trying to keep the car square, and we had that one restart in lap 89, and I think the right front glazed over on me or something. It didn't want to stick like it was.
Did you feel like you were in the catbird seat coming out of halfway and driving into the top 5?
I knew I had a good car in the first half. I really wasn't pushing it as much as we could, and almost got caught up in a bunch of wrecks and stuff like that. I was just glad to see lap 50, and then went in, talked to the crew, and I said I had a really good car. I knew I did, and just changed tires and almost made it. Just fell a little short.
Great run for third.
Thank you very much.
Folks, give it up for John Carpenter, third place finisher here tonight. So your top 3, Kurt Stebbins wins his second Empire 100, Glenn Reitner second, and John Carpenter third.
So there's your top 3 from the Empire 100 on Sunday night, and we will shoehorn more of the results in here into the rest of the show. Still got a couple of divisions that we didn't touch on, but those are the audio interviews for you for this evening. So why don't we go ahead and step aside. When we come back, we're going to fire up the Skype machine, get Jacob Seelman on board here, getting ready to talk Bad Boy Off-Road World Finals down at the dirt track at Charlotte. You're listening to Turn 5 Live on the Performance Motorsports Network, the voice of motorsports.
You own a performance car and you know how to drive, but you want to learn real performance driving. Well, Bunky, get that car off the street and onto the track. Summit Point Motorsports Park, the Mid-Atlantic's premier road racing facility, located just over an hour from D.C. in nearby Summit Point, West Virginia, is the place to go. And you'll find that Friday at the track is going to give you what you need. For less than a monthly car payment, you can attend this regularly scheduled one-day instructional event in your street car on one of Summit Point's 3 world-class road racing circuits. You'll receive classroom instruction, skid pad instruction in their cars, including front and rear skid control, and 4 20-minute in-your-car instructional sessions from a professional instructor. Have fun, go fast, and really learn how to drive. Call 304-725-8444 for class schedules and details. That's 304-725-8444. Friday at the track at Summit Point Motorsports Park.
Green light. Hey girl, school zone. I'm getting hungry. Car changing lanes. You want to meet me for pizza? Stop sign. Intersection clear. Yeah, street. Pizza sounds good. Ballin' Street? Girlin' Street!
It's hard to concentrate on 2 things at once, like texting and driving. Stop the text, stop the wrecks. How will you stop texting and driving? Tell us at stoptextstopwrecks.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Here's an important message from RAD and this station.
Hi, this is Bob Sheehan from Blues Traveler for RAD, recording artists against drunk driving. I like to party just as much as the next guy, maybe even more. But the one thing I won't do after I've had a few is get in the car and drive. Don't blow it. Always choose a designated driver. Remember, music lives, and so should you.
Motorsports sales professionals. Performance Motorsports is looking to build a team of experienced media sales professionals to represent our programming to the industry's top companies, magazines, and racing series. If you have motorsports sales or marketing experience, know how to work with agencies, understand social media, and are incredibly creative when it comes to working with clients and promotions, then we want to hear from you. Top performers are richly rewarded. Your imagination is the only limit here. Call 717-749-0444. That's 717-749-0444, or email us at scorpionradiogroup@gmail.com. You want to ask for Sue.
Hi, race fans. This is Otto Sitterly, driver of the Nicotra Racing number 7, and you're listening to Turn 5 Live on PMN.
Oh, Otto Sitterly bringing us back from commercial break here on Turn 5 Live on the Performance Motorsports Network. We're going to be talking to Jacob Seelman here in just a moment. But as I mentioned, want to shoehorn a few results in here if we can. Sunday night at the Dutch Hoag Memorial, 18 cars for the IMCA Modifieds. Keith Lamphere picked up the win. He got the win over Rich Karlnowski, Rich Michael Jr., Brad Smith, and Gary Roberts in the U2 rounded out the top 5. Brandon Smith, Tyler Stoddard, Big Daddy Mike Stoddard. Then you had Victor McNeil and Bobby Maynard rounded out the top 10 finishers. As we mentioned, Jacob Seelman joining us here to talk Bad Boy Off-Road World Finals. And Jacob,
oh boy,
it's a big week to be in Charlotte.
Is it ever, guys? What's going on? This is a dirt race fan's favorite weekend of the year. Well, because all dirt roads lead to Charlotte. We were talking with Lenny Baticki last night, and Lenny said that's every dirt fan's favorite words. And I tend to agree with that, guys, because this puts the 3 biggest categories in dirt track racing on the same stage on the same nights. And oh, by the way, we get to give away a few championship trophies too. It all comes down to this. It doesn't get any better than this. And even though we know which 3 guys are getting the championship trophies, there's still 6 winner trophies that we have to give away. And nobody knows who's going to get those.
No, definitely not. And there's so many headlines. And, you know, Jacob, we had some really good discussion on Madness last night. And I want to carry that over to Turn 5 Live tonight, because there is definitely a few questions that we brought up and asked last night that I'd really like to get Brad and Clint's thoughts on. And, you know,
boy,
why don't we start with the World of Outlaw sprint cars and the World of Outlaw Craftsman sprint cars? And, you know, yes, we know Donnie Schatz is going to pick up the big trophy for the points title, but talking about Donnie Schatz, he's going to be pulling double duty this weekend with the sprint car and the late model. For our fans listening tonight, Jacob, Donnie Schatz, let's take a look at his chances of pulling off a late model win this weekend. What do you think?
No offense, Donnie, love you and all, but the chances of Donnie pulling off a late model win are 0. None. Zip, zilch, nada, not going to happen. Why? Because this kid named Josh Richards is in the field. That's why.
I was just gonna. If I have to bet Josh Richards or the field, I'm gonna take Josh Richards.
Yeah, so Clint, what are the odds of Josh? Sorry to just completely put Steve in the corner for a minute, but since you chimed in, the odds of Josh Richards sweeping both races and not only breaking Darrell Lanigan's win record by 1 but 2 this weekend.
I would say it's better than 90%.
Wow, I wasn't going to give him quite that much, only because there's a few other really good guys, including a lot of rumors of a Bobby Pierce sighting this weekend, which I'm really excited about. I say Richards gets 1, and if Pierce is there, he gets the other one.
Well, you know, that's the big thing too, Jacob, is it's not only the World of Outlaw drivers are going to be here, and a lot of the Lucas Oil drivers are going to be there. This is going to be huge for the Outlaw guys, and it's going to be and it's going to be guys that Richards doesn't race against on a nightly basis with the Outlaws.
That's right. By the way, I'm going to shock everybody's world right here, because Lenny Baticki shocked my world when he said it last night. As of 8:30 p.m. last night, now I haven't gotten an update today from Dirt Car, but as of 8:30 p.m. last night, there has not been an entry for the Bad Boy Off-Road World Finals filed by Scott Bloomquist.
Yeah, Jacob, this is exactly why I wanted to come back and talk about this, because that I wrote to you guys last night before I signed off. I heard Lenny say that, and I thought there's no way Bloomquist doesn't go to Charlotte, right?
Well, maybe he's trying to prove a point. I don't know. I don't know what point that would be, but...
Well, in my opinion, if Bloomquist is going to prove a point, I would think he'd want to go there out of spite and try to beat everybody.
Abso-freaking-lutely. We've been having this discussion over a couple of things today. Tom put out a NASCAR column today that brought this discussion up, but I'll say it on air. If you're a racer, you go and you try to win. I don't care that you got screwed over and suspended for 3 months. If you're a racer, damn it, you go and you try to win. You know what? I'm going to say it right now. I'm going to say it. If Scott Bloomquist doesn't show up at the World Finals this weekend, I'm pulling his man card. There, I said it.
Wow.
Wow. It's cowardly if he doesn't show up, to be completely honest with you.
Absolutely.
News, results, driver interviews, and pulling man cards here on Turn 5.
For somebody,
yes.
For somebody who likes to cherry pick fields like Bloomquist does, and I won't say cherry pick fields, but he goes where Scott Bloomquist wants to go, and that's fine. But the biggest stage of the year, come out and beat him fair and square, and say, "There, I didn't need to do what you said I did. Bite me."
Mm-hmm. Pretty much.
We'll have to make sure that Brad in the Race City USA studios tags this interview for future introduction use.
Yes. Yes.
I like it. I like it a lot. Hey, let's wrap on the sprint cars here. And
yes.
Jacob, there's so many headlines coming into this weekend. A couple of which, or actually I shouldn't say a couple of which, there's a couple headlines coming into the World Finals, but there's one in particular that we'll talk about before we go to the break here. But and of course, that's one that Clint and I and Brad love to talk about, and that's, of course, Logan Schuchart.
Yes, but I'm about to say Clint's favorite words right here on air. Boom. Logan Schuchart will shock the world and win one for the posse at the World Finals. Boom.
Love it. Love it.
Can't get enough of that, Jacob. What a season it's been. How do you put this into words? I mean,
simple. Absolutely amazing. That's how you put it into words. For Logan Schuchart, he has performed above and beyond, in my opinion, anything that team could have ever hoped for, Clint, coming into this season. If what they were doing at the start of the year and getting top 10s and squeaking the top 5 once in a while was performing at 100%, Logan Schuchart has taken it and he has lifted that team on chains on his shoulders to 250%. This has been a run the likes of which I don't think that team could have ever dreamed up at the beginning of this year, and I love it.
I tell you, going to Williams Grove and seeing him last year and knowing, from talking to him, knowing what kind of budget that these guys are running on. These guys are running on a budget that would, if they were still in Hanover, Pennsylvania, they would be running local tracks on a Friday and Saturday night. That's what kind of budget these guys are doing the whole Outlaw Series on. And like you said, Jacob, look at what they're doing. He went from 10th to 3rd the other night. And, it's tough passing in these cars as it is, and it's even harder to pass when you get into the top 10. Going, passing to get into 6th place and they expire a motor. I mean, these guys are on a roll with arguably a top, I'm going to say it, he's a top 5 or 6 guy on the Outlaw Tour, no doubt in my mind, doing what he's doing with the equipment that he's got. And Jacob Allen is showing too that they're all headed in the right direction. Logan's just got the pedal, got the heavy foot on the pedal a little more right now. He knows his car. He knows how to drive. Mm-hmm. He's got the setup right. I just think that this kid could really go places if he's given an opportunity.
Well, you know what? Steve and I were talking about this last night, and I really thought about this overnight before I was set to come back on here. And I think right now the difference between Logan and Jacob is quite simply, Clint, you said it. Logan's found the heavy foot. He's found where the limit is with his car, and he's comfortable pushing it all the way there. I don't feel like that Jacob has yet found that limit with his car, and I don't think he's comfortable pushing the equipment quite that hard yet. yet. He'll get there. It's just going to take a little bit more time. Logan's had a little bit more experience in this car. He's a little bit more seasoned. And I do think within the next year or two, you will start to see Jacob Allen blossom a lot in the same way that we've seen Logan Schuchart blossom this year. That's a building effort. They've certainly proven that in the right circumstances, the equipment is there. And at least with the 1S, then, you know, the field's on notice. Donnie Schatz, Darren Pittman, Brad Sweet, the top guys are on notice that Logan Schuchart is going to be a contender now from here on out. That's basically the message they've sent this year. Yeah, it'll take some time for Jacob Allen to get there, but I believe he will get there. And I think a couple years from now, we're going to be talking about Shark Racing on a shoestring budget being one of the power teams of this sport.
And let's not forget about Fulton, and this will be my last comment on this because I know we got other guys that want to talk, but let's not forget about Fulton. Quick time, dominating his heat, blows a motor, and you know, he's done for the night. So, you know, who knows what could have happened on that stage? Could that have been win number 3? Who knows?
It could have been. Absolutely. Now I want to throw something else at you guys here because this is one of the two big storylines that we were talking about, and Logan really, we talk about Logan all the time because he's kind of a hybrid. He's part posse, but he's also part outlaw because he's been running the full-time tour, even though that team is still largely based out of Pennsylvania. We've been talking about it, harping about it, that a Pennsylvania posse driver has never won during the Bad Boy Off-Road World Finals. Schuchart could score a point for the posse, but if you want to talk pure posse, one guy. I understand the 27 and Hodnett finished second last year. I don't care. One guy right now has all the momentum. The 48 Double D, Danny Dietrich, scores one for the posse at Charlotte.
Double D. There you go.
There.
You got it. Yeah, it could absolutely happen. And Clint, you mentioned Fulton, who was finished top 3, finished third at Fulton. Double D, Danny Dietrich. So, don't think that it couldn't happen at Charlotte again, No,
those guys have proved that week in and week out, wherever they go, where the Outlaws go to, the posse is always competitive, always.
Now, we've got, we'll get into the World of Outlaw late Craftsman late models. We'll talk about the Super Dirt Car Series and any other headlines that we've got going into the World Finals. We'll do that next here with Jacob Seelman from RaceChaserOnline.com. Your motorsports your way every day. You can find them online at www.racechaseronline.com. We'll be right back with more from Turn 5 Live right here on the Performance Motorsports Network, the voice of motorsports.
Every 30 minutes, another innocent person is killed due to a drunk driver.
My best friend. My brother. My poor grandchild.
My sister. My father.
My husband.
My mom. My mommy.
Well, I've been afraid of changing 'cause I've built my life around you.
Stop these tragedies before they happen. Don't drink and drive.
Do you love the sound of high-revving motors and the smell of burning rubber? Do you want to get your car sideways right at the ragged edge of control? If you've always wanted to try drifting or learn to improve your drifting skills, Summit Point Motorsports Park, the Mid-Atlantic's premier motorsports facility, has the expert instructors and the specialized track to teach you how to drift and the skills necessary to drift competitively. From skid pad to open sessions, Summit Point Motorsports Park has the safe and open environment that allows drifters of all skill levels, new to intermediate, to get sideways and smoking. With a focus on safety and the skill set necessary to drift competitively, Summit Point Motorsports Park's Drift Nirvana is just the thing for you. Call for your reservation today, 304-725-8444. Or for more information, go online, summitpoint-raceway.com, or you can email them at office@bsrinc.com. Drift Nirvana, getting you sideways the right way.
If you own a gun, you have a full-time responsibility. When you aren't using it, be sure it can't get into the hands of curious children, troubled teenagers, a thief, or anyone else who might misuse it. Your family, friends, and neighbors are all counting on you. Remember, always, lock it up. For more information on firearm storage safety, visit ncpc.org. This message brought to you by the National Crime Prevention Council, the Bureau of Justice Assistance, and the Ad Council.
Creekside Entertainment is the official DJ, photo booth, and uplighting company of Turn 5 Live and the Performance Motorsports Network. Stuart Ovens and his staff at Creekside Entertainment are professional and experienced with events of any type. Creekside Entertainment specializes in wedding packages that are affordable and fun, and they are ready to serve you with the most up-to-date music and karaoke selection. If you can sing it in the shower, you can come out and sing it with Creekside Entertainment. And don't forget about the Creekside Entertainment photo booth and uplighting service that will transform your wedding or party into an event the family will be talking about for years. Trust the entertainment company that racers trust. Call Stu at area code 315-481-9700 or visit them online at creeksideentertainmentdj.com. You can also find them on Facebook and Twitter. Creekside Entertainment, division sponsor of the Black Rock Bandits in 2015.
Hi, race fans. This is Chuck Keebing, and you're listening to Turn 5 Live on PMN.
The Cobra, Chuck Keebing, bringing us back from commercial break here on Turn 5 Live. The Cobra not having all that great a day out at the Outlaw Speedway on Sunday. But just to mention real quick, the other winners that picked up victories in the Dutch Hoag Memorial weekend, Chris Woodard, last lap pass for the win to get the win in the four-cylinder division. You also had Tatter Kaiser, who used the outside lane to perfection in his 600 micro CC sprint car win. And then, of course, the pure stocks. I ragged on them in the first segment, and 4 cars took the green for their feature event. It was Buck Mills Jr. that picked up the win there for the pure stocks. So, Jacob, we'll get back to some World Finals discussion here. And let's talk about the World of Outlaw Craftsman late models. We talked a little bit about how, we think that Richardson is, he's essentially that guy you put in the place of, okay, I'm going to take this guy or the field. Certainly Kid Rocket is that guy. But what about some of the other guys that we might see this weekend? I mean, we talked about possibly a Bobby Pierce sighting. What are some of the other names that we haven't talked about tonight that maybe we should be talking about?
I got 2. One is a series regular, and one, he used to be a series regular. The regular that I want to keep my eye on is the guy who won the championship a year ago. And he's been okay, but he's not been Josh Richards level this year. Shane Clanton has just been kind of meh for most of the year. He's got some wins, but Josh has just been one step ahead, kind of like Shane was last year. And I expect Shane, he knows there's no way he can get the championship. All Josh has to do is sign in both days and it's game over. But for Shane, he wants to prove a point. He ran really well at Charlotte last year, didn't get the wins, but golly, I feel like this is his time to shine and maybe prove a point that just because Josh is going to get the series championship, I still know that he's going to say, I still know how to win a race. And I think you're going to see that 25 team go all out this weekend trying to capture one or maybe both of the wins to close this season. As far as outside the series, why wouldn't you talk about the guy whose record that Kid Rocket is trying to break? Darrell Lanigan has done everything in this series. He's tied for the most championships. He had the wins record, and the all-time wins record, rather, until Josh broke that about halfway through the season, and he's got the single-season wins record for now. Josh is trying to break that this weekend. How sweet would it be if you're Darrell Lanigan to stop Josh from breaking your single-season record by beating him heads up? Darrell Lanigan is one of the best in the Craftsman late models at the dirt track at Charlotte. I like the 29, maybe to win one or both of the races this weekend. I mean, I'm just saying.
Oh, that's a very, very good possibility. You throw in, those names with Kid Rocket, with potentially Bobby Pierce, and I'm still holding out hope that we're going to see Bloomer this weekend.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I could be wrong. I've been wrong before. I'll be wrong again. But I just think that we're going to see him there this weekend. Let's talk about the Super Dirt Car Series. And,
yes, let's. Please.
Before we get to Brett Hearn and his paint scheme that they're trying to create news with this weekend, this is the culmination this weekend, Jacob, for what has been an incredible season for one Matt Shepard. And
Amen.
Had it not been for, I think, a few controversial issues that we've had over the last month and a half of comments he's made in Victory Lane about finishing second to a small block, which has happened a few times, I think some of those comments almost made us overlook the fact that Dave had a phenomenal year this year, going out, starting his own team. It seems like it was so long ago, but it was. I mean, what a year that it's been for Super Matt.
Amen to that. Oh my gosh, this has been. I'll just say it. This has been a freaking unbelievable, ridiculous. This is the kind of magic year that we talked about Brett Hearn having 5 or 6 years ago, Steve. These are the kinds of seasons that just, until they actually happen, it's the kind of season that you think you can dream about and you say, oh, I'd be thrilled if that happened, but you never believe it's actually going to happen, and then it does. And Matt Shepard is on that kind of magic roll this year. The only thing I think that he can be disappointed with is the fact that he didn't win the Super Dirt Week feature this year. That's about the only thing that he didn't do besides, well, Eastern States over the weekend. Those two things. Other than that, Matt Shepard has been the man in a big block modified, period, all year long. And they deserve this championship. He's going to get this championship. And basically, this is Matt's way of sticking it to HBR. This is okay, you guys want to do something different? Screw you, I'll go win the title anyways. That's exactly how that works.
Yeah, and although those particular words may not come out of Matt's mouth this weekend,
the performance speaks for itself, people.
It does. It does. And you know that's got to be on his mind. I mean, with essentially finding out right before you go to collect the hardware at the banquet that you're out of a ride after delivering that team their very first Super Dirt Car Series title. I mean, wow. If that's not motivation, I don't know what would have been. And, you know, they certainly came through and showed it all year long. And,
yeah, they did.
And yes, he may not have won at Super Dirt Week, Jacob, but boy, they were on track. I mean, he led 153 laps out of that one.
He got stuffed out of the way at the end.
Yeah, well, and had it not been for that engine overheating and causing problems for him late in the going, you know, I think he might have been well on his way to being, you know, the three cars contending for the win there. But one guy that was contending for the win at Super Dirt Week that, well, let's just say he didn't have a great weekend at Eastern States, an event that he has dominated over the course of his career. One driver that comes to Charlotte, a bit pissed off, we'll say.
A bit?
Brett the Jet Hearn, with new colors, coming into Charlotte for the weekend. I'm telling you, Jacob, I'm going to say it right now. Brett Hearn is going to try and drive the tires off his car to win at Charlotte after the weekend that he had.
He's done it before. He won. I was there 2 years ago when he won at the World Finals at Charlotte. And really, Danny Johnson has been the man. The doctor's been the man at the dirt track at Charlotte. The last 2 of the last 3 races he's won. He won the finale in 2014, and he won the Friday night show last year. But I got to say, Steve, I know Brett Hearn is pissed off, but That's no reason to piss off the rest of everybody else, Brett, that actually likes you around here, and go change up your car the way you've done it. I know, Brad behind the glass says he likes it, but I'm looking at this abhorrent thing that is it's a race car, but lime green, really? No, that's not Brett Hearn. It's never been Brett Hearn. No, I don't like it. I want to see Brett Hearn sweep the weekend because he needs something to go right before the end of the year, but that's not the car to do it. No.
Clint, I don't know about you, but I was always taught that green at a racetrack is bad luck.
Bad luck.
I'm just saying. I mean, I know guys that if it's a green pit wristband that gets put on their hand, I mean, they get to their trailer and they're ripping that off. I mean, even the pit wristband can't be green. And I don't know. I mean, I think it's kind of neat looking, and go to Facebook.com, look up Brett Hearn's driver page, and you can see the picture they posted today. It's got primarily black with some, the secondary color is a lime green, and it's got some white there too. Brad, what do you think about it?
Guys, I think if you look at the rear quarters of that car, I don't know if I've ever seen that sponsor on the car before. Cedar Peaks, that may need to be a new sponsor for them, and there's a reason the guy's nickname's the corporate jet. He's always been one to, whatever gets the sponsor out there, But hey, you know what? I like the car. I think it's a sharp-looking car, and everybody needs a change. And you know what? I won 3 races when I was racing in the Bandits at Black Rock, and each 3 races I had a different front end or nose bumper cover or a rear bumper cover was different. And each time I had a different one on, I won the race. So, never know.
You do never know. Maybe that'll be what it takes for him this weekend. It could definitely happen. And Jacob, the numbers are there to prove it. All of the guys that you mentioned, and we've got just about a minute here. Another guy that I know that you've got your eye on this weekend that could really make some noise, and I know that he would love to do so. And that's, of course, one Tyler Dipple.
My response to that is, duh. Okay, so Tyler Dipple, and I'm probably going to push your time limit here just a little bit, but I have to, and I want to stick around for a minute and rail on Brett Hearn too. But Tyler Dipple, real quick, 2 years ago, nobody knew who this kid was. Then he goes out and almost beats the doctor, Danny Johnson, at the World Finals for his first ever series win as a cold rookie. Just saying. He almost won there again last year, and for Dipple, he comes in wanting vengeance. He got a K&N win at the start of the year, and the rest of his season was kind of junk. He had a really good run in the small block at Eastern States. The big block wasn't quite where he needed it. He wants revenge at this racetrack, though. He wants to win here. I was talking to him yesterday. He says, I would trade all the bad luck for one win at Charlotte. I can promise you that'll be the biggest party of the night if that kid can win Friday or Saturday night. I say he gets one.
Well, it could absolutely happen. We'll see how Tyler Dipple does this weekend at the dirt track at Charlotte. We're going to step aside here. When we come back, we'll wrap up our World Finals thoughts, and then we'll talk about Eastern States weekend and bring the extra lead weight with you for that discussion. You're listening to Turn 5 Live on the Performance Motorsports Network, the voice of motorsports.
Okay, so Sarah, I'm dropping you off at Emily's?
Yep.
And Josh, you're going to?
Soccer, Dad. Soccer practice.
Right. Oh, by the way, I just wanted to let you know when I pick you both up, I'll be wearing my short shorts.
What? No!
Yep, and my dorky dad hat, and I'm gonna do my dad dance for all your friends. They'll love it!
Seriously? Why?
Because I like my short shorts. Of course, I could be talked out of it if you guys would just buckle up your seatbelts without giving me a hard time.
It's important to get your kids to buckle up for safety, no matter what it takes. And sometimes, all it takes is your parental powers of persuasion.
Okay, we're buckling up. See, all buckled.
Good choice. I'll just have to do my dad dance at dinner time.
What?
No!
Do what you have to make sure your kids are wearing their seatbelts, even on short drives. Never give up until they buckle up. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council. Visit safercar.gov/kidsbuckleup for more information.
If you're a gearhead and you just can't get enough of your favorite motorsports on that channel on the cable, or you look at that Guy network and you just go, what does that have to do with me? We have the answer. Performance Motorsports Network. Right here on the internet. The best cruising tunes, the best in motorsports programming, and the best shows. We have opinionated hosts, and we like it that way. If you want to get involved, if you want to bench race, be listening for information coming up soon right here on this channel, the Performance Motorsports Network. Your source for motorsports.
Creekside Entertainment is the official DJ, photo booth, and uplighting company of Turn 5 Live and the Performance Motorsports Network. Stuart Ovens and his staff at Creekside Entertainment are professional and experienced with events of any type. Creekside Entertainment specializes in wedding packages that are affordable and fun, and they are ready to serve you with the most up-to-date music and karaoke selection. If you can sing it in the shower, you can come out and sing it with Creekside Entertainment. And don't forget about the Creekside Entertainment photo booth and uplighting service that will transform your wedding or party into an event the family will be talking about for years. Trust the entertainment company that racers trust. Call Stu at area code 315-481-9700 or visit them online at creeksideentertainmentdj.com. You can also find them on Facebook and Twitter. Creekside Entertainment, division sponsor of the Black Rock Bandits in 2015.
Hi, race fans. This is Gary Tompkins, and you're listening to Turn 5 Live on PMN.
There we go. Gary Tompkins bringing us back from commercial break here on Turn 5 Live on the Performance Motorsports Network. Stephen Ovens and Brad Ovens joining Jacob Seelman, who's on the Skype chat line with us here this evening. And Stat Boy pulls through with a nice stat. We were just talking about Matt Shepard in the last segment. And Jacob, why don't you go ahead and share that? Because that's a good stat right there.
I think I just shocked you a little bit, Steve, when I pulled this one out of my hat. We were talking about the season that Matt Shepard has had. Coming into the year, he was 6th on the all-time Super Dirt Car Series win list with 35 victories. He is still 6th right now, closing in on the end of the season, but all of a sudden, with his 10 wins this year, he's jumped up to within 6 victories of the 2 guys who are tied for 4th on the all-time series wins list at 51. Bob McCready and Alan Johnson tied for 4th all time. And Shepard, you talk about the season he's had this year. If he goes in and has another season like this next year or even close to it, we're going to be talking about Super Matt by this time next year, 4th on the all-time dirt car big block modified win list. And for me, he's going to have 5 championships to his name at the end of this year. But that's the number that really speaks to me because, guys, Matt Shepard, I think, is only now, the last 2 or 3 years, he's just now coming into the true peak of his career. I think we've seen him the last couple of years only get better and better and better.
Well, and it's hard to believe that a driver who, let's say within the last 10 years, ripped off his first 3 Super Dirt Car Series titles in a row, and then goes to a powerhouse team where the expectations were so high and wins 1 out of 2, and then basically gets dropped on the curb, essentially the, getting caught with your pants down scenario, and throws his hands up and says, I'm going to go start my own team, and arguably has one of the best seasons of his career. So you're absolutely right, Jacob. I mean, and this is the thing is, Matt Shepard, I don't see Matt Shepard really, Matt doesn't have a big desire to race anything other than Northeast big block modifieds. And with those kind of numbers, why wouldn't you,
Exactly. I want to make one tiny point before we rail on Brett Hearn for a little bit here. Matt Shepard's season this year, and this is something that nobody has talked about this year. I don't know why, but nobody's talked about it. Matt Shepard's season this year with 10 victories is actually tied for the most feature wins in a single season in Super Dirt Car Series history, with Brett Hearn in 2002 and Billy Decker in 2008. If he can pick up a win at Charlotte this weekend, he will set the single season wins record, just like Josh Richards is trying to do on the late model side.
Well, there you have it. Some more numbers and stats to keep your eyes on this weekend at the World Finals. Let's talk about Eastern States for a minute here.
Yes, let's.
Well, as we said in the last segment, a driver who's going to be making his way to Concord, North Carolina with probably not the best mood he's ever been in. Brett Hearn didn't have the greatest days at Eastern States this past weekend. And actually, I shouldn't really even say this past weekend. It was basically all on Sunday because rain washed out the small block program on Saturday. So it was a double feature, double header on Sunday for both the small block and big block portion of the event. And Brett, as he has done countless times, won the small block race on Sunday morning, Jacob, but there's that thing you got to go across after the races are over, the scales. And,
that
thing. He was a bit light. Something that Brad and I have never been in our racing career.
No, and I've been light at the scales quite a few times, but that's a story for another day. Yeah, it seems like there's another guy who tends to win a lot in a late model that we talk about coming up light at the scales more often than not. I thought this was a conversation reserved for fans of Scott Bloomquist, but man, Brett Hearn, I don't know. This is not something that comes up, well, very often when it comes to Brett the Jet. I mean, we don't usually talk about him getting DQ'd like this. I get that it's happened a few times in recent years, but this is not something that is, I'd argue, normal, and it's not something that we tend to talk about a whole lot. But when it does happen, because it's Brett, we talk it to death. And here's the bottom line. He was light at the scales. He loses the win. Yeah, okay, I get that you're upset about it, but here's my advice for Brett the Jet. Get over it. Just shut up and drive the race car. The quickest way to prove that you've put it behind you, go out and win a race. It's really that simple. Shut up and drive. That's all I got.
So he loses the small block race, being light at the scales, giving the win to Anthony Brian Crummell, who ended up getting the win in the small block race. Now, being that he got the race taken away from him in the small blocks, that took away a bonus opportunity for Hearn if he could sweep both races. So we get to the big block portion. We know that bonus is already out the window. So at that point, you just got to go out and win the race. Get what $35,000 you can get and head back to New Jersey. But there's this other guy from Sprakers, New York.
Yeah, this guy named Friesen who's done a lot lately.
Yeah, he moonlights in the Camping World Truck Series. We can say that now.
And has done so quite successfully lately, I might add.
Yeah. Friesen closes in on Hearn in the weaning laps, and just, I'm not going to say he took Hearn out because he didn't, but he laid the lumber to him in turn 3. But you know what, Jacob? I'm not even going to bag on Friesen for the move because it's Eastern States. It was Friesen's first win in the Eastern States 200, and it's for $35,000. You're going to trade a little paint to win that kind of money.
You damn right you are. Here's the deal. How many times people, have we seen Brett Hearn use a move just like the move that Stewie made to win any race, let alone to win Eastern States? You get my point here? This is nothing different than what Brett or anybody else would do to win that $35,000 check. If you can't take the heat, if you can't swallow your own medicine, get the heck out of the race car. Period. End of discussion. Done. Move on.
So Friesen picks up the win, $35,000 richer is he and his Halmar International team. And, Stewart hasn't necessarily had the dominant season that Matt has had certainly this year, Jacob, but as we have seen him do so many times in his career, when these huge fall shows come up, the big money races, the crown jewels, Friesen always finds a way to show up, and show up he did this weekend.
Okay, here's the deal. Stuart Friesen wins when it matters. He doesn't get, he doesn't have the championship trophies yet, but Stuart Friesen wins when it counts. He wins the big money races. He wins the prestige races. He wins the races that people are going to remember. Do people remember championships? Absolutely. But more and more lately, people remember the guys who win the big races. And Stewie has made a career. He has made a resume doing exactly that, Steve. That's his hallmark. That's what he's done. And you know what? Even at this point, I don't know that I really care all that much that Stewart doesn't have the Super Dirt Car Championship on his resume yet. As far as I'm concerned, you don't need a championship when you've won at Super Dirt Week 5 times, when you've won Eastern States, when you're making starts in the Truck Series. A champion he may not be, but hey, when you're winning the races that pay the big money and you're keeping your team going like that, I don't care. It doesn't matter to me.
Well, and isn't it interesting when you compare the two, how polar opposite ends when you talk about those different discussions. Now, yes, Matt's definitely won some big races. He's won Dirt Week in his past. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting because you look at Matt and you say, okay, if you were going to look at these two drivers and say, okay, go ahead and make the case for each of these drivers to be future Hall of Famers. And that's exactly the argument you'd use, Jacob.
Yeah, absolutely.
For Matt, it's about championships and about the handful of big races that you could put on his resume. Then you look at Friesen, and yeah, what you lack in championships, you gain back in those crown jewel events.
Yeah.
And that is, these are the two guys that when they pull in the pit area, they're automatically favorites to win that night, no matter where they are. And it's just so interesting that even though they're in that same discussion, when you sit down and look at some of the numbers in comparison, it's a very interesting discussion with those two.
I think Brad's chomping at the bit over here. What you got?
Brad, let's let him out of the cage.
Oh, come on, guys. I'll keep it short and sweet. It's one thing to be a guy that you got to watch out for 2 weeks out of the year. It's another thing to be a guy you got to watch out for 5 months out of the year. I think it's more impressive to me to see a team go 5 months out of the year, have 7-8 straight Super Dirt Car Series wins, than, to watch a guy come in and, win the big races. I mean, I think it takes a lot more to be that guy that everybody's watching 5 months out of the year than it does for 2 weeks.
Here's a thought as we get ready to go to break here, Jacob, and Brad, if you want to chime in real quick. Do you think that, Stuart Friesen chases a lot of races. He chased all the races on the Short Track Super Series. And even though he's able to win a good portion of those events that he enters, does that maybe take away from the Super Dirt Car Series efforts?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. It divides your focus. And I'd say the same thing about the Halmar guys going and helping him run the Camping World Truck Series races that he runs. Yes, it absolutely splits your focus.
How about you, Brad?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, that'd be like a cup team in NASCAR going and putting their focus on racing 12 races in ARCA. You know, you can't. You've got to be focused on one thing if you're going to win it.
Well, we thank Jacob for being on the program with us for 3 segments tonight, Jacob. Appreciate the time as always, man.
Oh, yeah, I love it. I'll be excited to keep tossing updates this weekend. Stay tuned to RaceChaserOnline.com. We'll have a live feed all 3 days, updates from the Bad Boy Off-Road World Finals. Look forward to it.
All right, managing editor from RaceChaserOnline.com, Jacob Seelman joining us on the Skype chat line. We'll toss it off to a break here. When we come back, Brad and I will close out the show here on Turn 5 Live on the Performance Motorsports Network, the voice of motorsports.
For 17 years, Stock Car Steel has been a leading materials supplier to the racing industry. Now they're also an official motorsports content partner of Race Chaser Online. The biggest names in NASCAR trust Stock Car Steel for all their raw materials, such as carbon steel, chrome moly, DOM, aluminum, plastics, and much, much more. You can't build a race car without the basic materials, and Stock Car Steel is the place to get them. Don't forget to also visit Stock Car Steel's sister company, SRI Supplies, for racing and industry. SRI is your number one source for all your shop supply needs. Nuts, bolts, rivets, tapes, adhesives, cutting tools, chemicals, body shop supplies, paint shop supplies, lubricants, and more. A well-stocked race shop is a winning race shop, and the road to winning begins with 3 letters, SRI. For more information, visit stockcarsteel.com and SRI-supplies.com. You can also find them on Facebook at Stock Car Steel and Aluminum, or call either company toll-free at 1-888-752-7272.
Creekside Entertainment is the official DJ, photo booth, and uplighting company of Turn 5 Live and the Performance Motorsports Network. Stuart Ovens and his staff at Creekside Entertainment are professional and experienced with events of any type. Creekside Entertainment specializes in wedding packages that are affordable and fun, and they are ready to serve you with the most up-to-date music and karaoke selection. If you can sing it in the shower, you can come out and sing it with Creekside Entertainment. And don't forget about the Creekside Entertainment photo booth and uplighting service that will transform your wedding or party into an event the family will be talking about for years. Trust the entertainment company that racers trust. Call Stu at area code 315-481-9700 or visit them online at creeksideentertainmentdj.com. You can also find them on Facebook and Twitter. Creekside Entertainment, division sponsor of the Black Rock Bandits in 2015.
We're growing like crazy and need account reps who know their way around agencies, the internet, and social media. Got connections? Or do you know how to get to the decision makers? Are you fearless? We need you. Internet radio, or as we call it, wireless mobile radio, is rapidly becoming the place to be with almost limitless income potential. So contact us to get involved with the fastest growing professionally produced group of internet radio stations in the world. Your imagination is the only limit here. Call 717-749-0444. That's 717-749-0444. Or you can email us at scorpionradiogroup@gmail.com. You want to ask for Sue.
Hi, race fans. This is Matt Shepard, and you're listening to Turn 5 Live on PMN.
Welcome back, race fans, to Turn 5 Live here on the Performance Motorsports Network. Stephen and Brad Ovens here with you to close out the show. Clint Miller taking the rest of the show off here as he is now a loyal third shifter doing some shift work. So good, safe night to him and the boys down there at the salt mine. And Brad, we're going to wrap up the program here. I want to thank Jacob Seelman for joining us on the program tonight. this show has absolutely flown by tonight. But Brad, I just got a glimpse of a video from Bruce Kinner, one of the four-cylinder drivers at Outlaw Speedway, and he just uploaded the GoPro footage from his car, and he had a front row seat for Jared Brown's flip in turn number 1. I know that you were kind of on the opposite side of the speedway when that would have happened. Did you happen to see that when it all went down?
I did not. I was with the Payne crew in his pit stall talking to some of the guys, and I heard the loud gasp come from the grandstands next to us and across the track. And by the time I cleared out of the crowd to look over, I just saw the front of his car coming down, and I heard the call across the officials' radio to go red. So I didn't see it start. I really didn't see a lot of it. All I saw was the car come down, and from what I saw the car come down, it looked like it was a pretty heavy hit.
Oh, it was a wild ride. And the thing about it is the right rear tire came off on him, and once the tire came off and what was left on the car dug into the track, I mean that was all she wrote from that point. And probably one of the wilder rides as far as flipping in a four-cylinder that you're going to see, and it was at the highest speed point of the track. I mean, you're at the end of the front straightaway, ready to turn into turn 1, and I mean one of the higher speed points of the track, and up and over he went. I just reached out to Bruce to see if he can make that video viewable by the public so that we can share it to the Turn 5 Live page. So if you're listening to our archive, take a look at our Turn 5 Live Facebook page, and we'll try and get that video shared over there, because he catches the very beginning of that flip, and it was wild. I just got to take a look at it here during the commercial break, and boy, what a wild ride that was. But Brad, any final thoughts from Dutch Hoag Memorial weekend that turned into an all-day affair on Sunday? But I'll tell you, the racing on the track sure spoke for itself.
Oh yeah, there was definitely some things that could have been better, and I think that's just more of the racers. A racer is always going to try and do what's best for himself. Sometimes you get put in situations where it's the racer's trying to get everything they can for himself while still trying to be reasonable about it. But all in all, for 8 classes running there that night, I really gotta send out a huge shout out to all the IMCA guys, and even the four-cylinders, all the classes that ran later in the night, on that dry, hard, slick, black track that they were running on. I was thoroughly impressed that everybody was able to keep the cars as straight as they did, and later in the night the moisture started to come in. You could kind of feel it in the air. These cold temperatures, dry, slick track. It was really cool to see everybody hold everything together the way they did.
Yeah, no doubt about it. It closed out the 2016 season, first season for Tyler Seary, promoting the Speedway, and I think that they showed all season long that there is a lot to work with there. I think it has the potential to only get better as time goes on. And, even the work that they did on the racing surface itself, should really give folks cause to really look forward to the seasons upcoming there at the Outlaw Speedway. And, of course, their banquet coming up Saturday, January 28th, $40 ticket there for the 2016 season banquet, January 28th, 2017. So check them out, outlawspeedwayllc.com. We're going to take a 6.5 day break here. We'll be back with you next Tuesday night. And we want to thank Jacob Seelman for joining us on the program tonight. We'll be back with an all-new episode of Turn 5 Live next Tuesday night at 7:30 p.m. right here on the Performance Motorsports Network, the voice of motorsports.
Turn 5 Live is a copyrighted production of the Performance Motorsports Network. PerformanceMotorsportsNetwork.com is a member of the Scorpion Radio Group Incorporated and may not be rebroadcast, replicated, or saved in any media without the explicit written permission of PMN. The opinions expressed on this program are those of the host, co-host, and guest, and do not necessarily reflect those of the management and ownership of either the Performance Motorsports Network or Scorpion Radio Group Incorporated, the advertisers, or marketing partners. Thank you for listening to Turn 5 Live. You can listen to Turn 5 Live every Tuesday night right here on the Performance Motorsports Network. Stay tuned for more great PMN programming.
Everything's better when she's around. Coming to the parents from out of town. I fell in